Okay, my name is John Anderson from Cardiff University, and this paper explores the relationship between lifestyle, mobility and place, particularly focusing on the activity of surfing. So as Shields describes, surfing is the art of standing and riding on a board propelled by breaking waves. Or as Ford Brown put it, the core of surfing has always been this embodied, raw and immediate glide or slide across the wave of energy passing through water. And there's some nice images that describe or illustrate this process. So surfing is acknowledged by those who participate in the sport as a lifestyle activity. An activity whose eruptive tendencies, to use the term of Alain Badiou, has the potential to change your life. And as we can see from the following excerpts from The Surfer's Path, the well-known surfing magazine, this notion for surfing to be a lifestyle activity, have this eruptive moment, is quite popular. As the caption at the top says, it's a sight worth changing your life for. As in Argentina, surfing a pure fides, the way towards purification will change your life completely. Or in a European company advert, this is what we live for. So yet this apparently straightforward lifestyle choice embodies a key tension that lies at the heart of many identity crises in the late modern world, the conflict between mobility and spaces. Human geography, as of course we all know, is the study of the relations between people and place. Yet human relationships to place and our understanding of them are changing, especially when seen through the lenses of mobility and spaces. Traditionally, human geography has tended to think of people and places rooted together, from the work from Edward Ralph and Euclid Twine onwards, and drawing on the common sense categorisation of a sedentary metaphysics, using the term of Lisa Malky, this relation is rooted and bounded, as Creswell tells us. We are actively territorialising our identities in property, in region, in nation, in rooted places. So such a modern approach to place thus formulates a world of closed, bounded and stabilised places. Place identities and the cultures that create them are deemed to be coherent and preserved, with any narrative of change becoming framed around the threat of foreign ideas, peoples and commodities that will rupture and contaminate, to use Coleman and Crane's terms, local places and values. From an amodern perspective, however, the relations between people and place are no longer sedentary, but also moving. This has been summed up by the Mobilities paradigm, which suggests, and I just love this quote from Epigore, that everywhere is shot through with a woof of human motion, as more persons and groups deal with the realities of having to move, or the fantasies of wanting to move. However, there is more than simply human movement, of course, involved in our globalising world. Communications, finance, commodities, services, ideas, languages, animals, viruses, geologies, weather systems and hydrological systems all form a part of these increasingly global processes. As Scheller and Ari succinctly put it, all the world seems to be on the move. Any place on the planet is framed through the paradigm of mobilities not as a unitary location, but as a complex system of diverse and intersecting mobilities. So despite the critique that we have never been modern from Bruno Latour, these two approaches to the relations between people and place are often positioned in dualist opposition to one another. Place has to either be modern, static and permanent, or amodern, unstable and temporary. This paper suggests that rather than discarding the modern and its categorisations, it's worthwhile harnessing their continued legacy in framing the way we understand the world. There is a rich and creative tension, I would suggest, in this amodern binary, which can be exploited to further our understandings of the relationship between people and place. And we can see this to a certain extent through the case study of this paper, the case study of surfing. So, surfing's roots. Many surfers root themselves into a home break in the sedentary geographical condition. They feel a strong sense of place attachment. They are anchored to their home break and the coast that supports it. So these locals feel a strong sense of ownership over the culture and waves associated with their local area from others close by, as hopefully this will go some way to illustrate.
Since I think he's on the west side, Black Marine is surfing, just east side, which is East Coast Drive, Turning Point, West Coast Drive, and just exceeding all the other on the surfing east side, down that you want the next place up there, so this is what's over here. Kind of like when you're young, you're rooting for your home team, you know, it's like we're born and raised on the west side, so we're rooting for the west side, or the west side, the west side.
Bottom right next to the page.
over there is in those contests. You know, you can't have them all set up over there and take everybody at the point.
I think it seemed like there was a lot more fights when I was growing up for people. Localism. If you don't like a person, you can call it a negative thing, you know, like an E-sider, you know.
Okay, so that, although perhaps you couldn't get the volume too well, East Side and West Point and Pleasure Point around Santa Cruz area in California, and a strong sense of antipathy, but a strong sense of ownership and protection between just literally two sides of a coastline where the coast separates. However, many surfers aspire, on the other hand, to be amodern, highly mobile, modern gypsies, following waves around the globe. And this has been seen from the 1960s seminal surf movies such as Endless Summer onwards. So, we turn towards surfing roots.
It was a cold, foggy winter morning in November when Mike and Robert were ready to depart on the first leg of their endless summer journey around the world. On the plane heading for Africa, Robert wondered what was in store for them. Would they find surf? Would they catch malaria? Would they be speared by a native he didn't have any idea? Across the U.S., then across the Atlantic Ocean, landing in Africa for the first time at Dakar, Senegal. In a few minutes in West Africa, you can get out of the city into a very primitive area. That's where they are now, a primitive fishing village in Ghana. Most of these people had never seen a white man before. As they walked down the beach, they really wondered if they were doing the right thing. Didn't know whether the UN had been there yet or not. They were a little nervous on the beach, so they paddled right out in the water. Paddling out, they had the horrible thought that maybe surfing would violate some religious taboo of the natives and they'd attack. During the first ride, the hundreds of natives were dead silent. But when Robert pulled out, they really went wild.
So that little clip from Endless Summer made in the 1960s kind of shows that sort of wide-eyed innocence that heralded, that came with the onset of mobility, the onset of globalisation, onset of the lifestyle mobility of surfing means that you search the world for this perfect wave. However, along with that wide-eyed innocence came some problems. As Bartoli begins to suggest, by the closing reel of the Endless Summer, many surfers, particularly US surfers, but around the globe too, were scrambling to their atlases to book a flight to some faraway continent they knew little about. They knew little about the cultures, the process that were going on there. Should they really be surfing this area? Would they be speared by a native? Whatever it happens to be. They knew little about it other than they had a perfect empty-style Malibu type ride peeling off at some point. They just wanted the waves. They didn't care about the culture on that. The international surfing gold rush was on. And if we wind on from the 1960s to the present day, this is continually happening. No longer is it wide-eyed innocence and stuff, but it's highly commercialised, highly commoditised, highly sponsored as this short introduction to a reef film about modern gypsies, that's what it's called, demonstrates to us.
We traveled around the world throughout the year for our living. Home is home, but it's also on the road. This is the path we follow. Now has moved away from perhaps this wide-eyed innocence to be highly commercialised, highly commoditised environment, beautiful women, Western women plonked on these overseas beaches and not necessarily aware of or caring about the cultures associated with them. As Kimball Taylor, Surf Journalist, outlines, I thought it was a waste of time to travel thousands of miles to sit in a swampy guest house playing video games and watching DVDs. The aspiration of these lifestyle surfers. Global surfers, but I couldn't divide the lifestyle either. I was just like the rest of the crew, a beer-swilling vagabond surfer who'd gotten used to taking this lifestyle around the world with them.